We're thankful for another day. We get to keep it positive with the Cleveland Browns as we're on Shedeur Sanders Watch, Stefansky getting fired watch. We're on Get Well Soon Hawaiian Leprechaun Watch. But the radio stations are starting to come along with my fears and bringing it up about Stefanski and what he could potentially do here with Dillon Gabriel. We're going to dig into that today, but before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're here to make fun of this organization, the coaches, the leadership, as they keep playing around with these quarterbacks. And it does not matter who the coach is, who's back there pulling the strings. We've seen this year after year after year. We're on Shedeur Sanders Watch. We're keeping up with the conspiracy theories, the news that's coming up. We're digging up news that nobody's covering, that gets lightly said, and we got some more today. Click that button. Stop missing out. But what's the odds that Stefanski goes back to Dillon Gabriel if the Browns lose this game? Or if it's not exactly what he wants? What's the odds that that's likely to happen?
I really am curious, just with the number of games left, 6 games, that's a long time. Anything can happen in 6 games. And, I wouldn't be surprised in theory if they do want more even sample sizes on these guys, or look, if turning the football over becomes a problem for Shedeur, which I don't know how risky that is going to be with him, because obviously his accuracy is what he's so good with. So I'll be curious to see if they do want to go back to Dillon at some point and just get a larger sample size on him. But for right now, I think this opportunity is Shedeur Sanders's, and it's his to hold on to make the most of, or it's his to lose. So kind of a similar position that Dillon Gabriel was in before he got the concussion. And now Shedeur has to do everything he can to show the Browns, like what he said in that pregame broadcast to CBS. He wants to show them that he's the guy they've been looking for. And I think he has to play clean games from here on out and do everything he can to keep that job for sure.
Nothing has been normal here. Nothing has been normal with this team, like almost ever, especially what we've been seeing with these quarterbacks, like the quarterback battle, having 4 quarterbacks. From what we saw this last 8 months, monitoring this, recording this, nothing has been normal.
I came out Monday and I said, Shedeur's got to start the rest of the season. I can tell that you feel that same way, but there is the part of me in the back of my brain, like how much are they waiting this game against the 49ers? Like, I really hope that Stefanski's got it in his head. This is Shedeur for the rest of the season, but there's a part of me that is nervous about the idea that he goes in against the 49ers. And this, again, we're on a game-by-game basis. He, once again, is in a spot where he has to prove himself.
So I think he is in a game-by-game basis. I think they're going to make him earn everything. And I think they're going to make sure that whatever spark he lit for those guys in the field, that he can keep the spark lit. It's not how I would handle it, because, again, I've seen enough of Dillon. I saw enough of Dillon before the kid started the game in the NFL. He is a backup.
Reading between the lines with this next clip, Kevin didn't want Shedeur. He didn't want Shedeur as the QB2, which by proxy means he wouldn't be the starter right now because he wouldn't be the next man up. Like, from what I'm reading here, he did not want Shedeur to be the QB2. So, which means that there could be a possibility that the leash might be shorter with him if mistakes happen or if the game just doesn't go according to plan.
Daryl, whose call do you think it was to make him the backup?
That's a great question. I mean, Kevin Stefanski will tell you that it was his call, and he makes all of those decisions when it comes to personnel, but let's be honest about it. That's just not how the Cleveland Browns tend to operate, or that is not how they are perceived to operate. So I'm gonna say it was an organizational decision there, Lima. I think that covers my backside. Whether it was Kevin that made it, whether somebody else in the building.
I don't think it's Kevin. I don't think it's. I know you're the reporter and I'm the opinionist, and I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't believe anybody if they say it was Kevin Stefanski's call.
I will say this, Ken. There have been. I'll grant you this. I firmly believe that there have been decisions made during Kevin Stefanski's tenure as head coach, which goes back to 2020. That he disagreed with, that he did not make, and whatnot. Again, because this is how the Cleveland Browns tend to operate.
Daryl Ryder, brought to you by Scheib and Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. If you're Kevin, do you even want to be here? I'm sorry, because again, the coach of the year stuff, and it's like, well, we just take away power, and you just have to deal with it if you're Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah,
there's just no way. Hey, we haven't I know we were just all arguing about reps, and I agree with you, Daryl. I'm on your side in this, but. There's just no way. There's no way you would have said, Shedeur's definitely the backup quarterback. And we're going to, You brought in Bailey Zappi for a reason. So somebody somewhere made a decision that have had ramifications on this because, again, you're putting him in an offense that he doesn't really know. And I keep going back to that report that came out a month ago about how they wanted to get him ready with a week of practice with the ones and with everybody before they were going to ever play him, before they would start him. His first playing time was going to be a start.
Which, by the way, that made sense because that's how you do.
Stefanski is getting fired if he gives pushback and goes back to Gabriel. Like, sooner or later. Like, that's going to be the death now. Like, if he does go back to Gabriel and they don't fire him instantly for bringing it up, for being so stupid, which I think that's a high possibility because I imagine there's pushback there. I think that if Gabriel looks like Gabriel, he's gone. He's gone. Quick, fast in the offseason.
There's a scenario where I walk away feeling good about what the Browns did, and I feel good about what Shedeur did. But if I'm Shedeur Sanders and I'm looking at this through the eyes of, can Shedeur be more than just the quarterback who plays the last 7 games for you? That's where you need to see the improvement. That's where I need to see some of the bigger plays come out. That's where I need to see you make sure you're handling the offense in a way that looks better than what Dillon Gabriel was operating at, looks better than what you operated at last week. The expectation should continue to climb, and I think Browns fans need to look at it with that critical eye. It should not just be, he's Shedeur Sanders, and he looks better than Dillon Gabriel, and that's good enough for me. The fact-finding mission does have to continue. It is whether or not you have a franchise-level quarterback, and that should be the growing question in the final 6 weeks of the season, not can Shedeur look better than Dillon Gabriel. That is a 1 to 2 week experiment that we're currently either just moved on from or maybe just maybe still living in.
It's fair to be not impressed by the Raiders' win and have critiques of his play, but you also got to throw in the context. The situation's weird. He's only had so many practices. He's still he's learning the system, but he's still getting up to the speed of the game because he was neglected all of training camp long.
There was some ridiculous stat, I don't have it in front of me, that Cleveland Brown quarterbacks, their first start were like 0-748. Shedeur comes in with this circus around him and beats up on the Raiders. Your Raiders are pathetic, Coach. You said you wanted to put a fork in your eyes watching them. Can you read anything into Shedeur, who, by the way, after the game, he kind of did his version of, we're talking about practice? Imagine a year of practice. I'll be dangerous. What did we think of Shedeur's first start, Coach?
I would pump the brakes on that a little bit. The throw we keep watching was against an all-out blitz. The Browns don't even pick up the blitz. It's a horrible blitz by the Raiders because they don't contain a right-handed quarterback. They let him out to his right. He made a great throw. But I'm not going to jump off the table yet because he threw a bubble screen for a 70-yard touchdown against the worst entry I've ever seen on defense. They relied on the Wildcat. They relied on their defense to win that game yesterday. And you're right, that was as bad a Raider performance on offense as I've ever seen. But Shedeur did get the win, but I don't think those other 17 or 18 quarterbacks that lost faced a team that played that poorly.
He also has no weapons around him really in the passing game. Jerry Jeudy hasn't played well. Cedric Tillman is coming back, ramping up. Kind of give him a little grace until I feel like he's fully ramped up. But it's not like you got a Justin Jefferson like you're J.J. McCarthy and you're sacking yourself. It's not like you're that. And also on top of that, the offensive line has been bad. So you really got to look at this in context. First ever starts playing with all that, and you're still able to get the win.
I really do believe that they are going to keep Shedeur as the starter for the rest of the season unless something happens, whether it be injury or ineffectiveness or whatnot. But the way Kevin Stefanski is, he's a very measured, calculated, analytics type person where he's not going to just emotionally be excited after the game and then just declare Shedeur the starter. He wants to go back. He wants to watch the tape. He wants to talk to the other people that he trusts that are involved in making that decision before he comes out and names who that starter is. And I think that's the right decision. It may not always be the most popular with fans who are ready to jump on the Shedeur bandwagon and say, yeah, he's our guy the rest of the season, but it just does make sense, right? He gave you an opportunity to stretch the defense, throwing the football down the field. That's huge, right? We didn't have that with Dillon Gabriel. He made significant progress on the areas that you needed him to make progress, specifically drifting in the pocket, taking sacks, seeing the defense. And he gave you something that was fun. And he gave you an opportunity to really study this quarterback room that we have right now and then be able to make that decision, which is the most important decision that this franchise has in the offseason of, hey, we got 2 first-round picks next year. Are we going to use them on a quarterback, or do we think that one of these 2 guys we have right now can be the quarterback of the future?
After like a rough outing against the Ravens. Also on top of this, we're rolling into a game against the 49ers. You look at the logo there, and you think about the start of the season and some of the games they've been, and you get a little worried. You peel back some of the advanced analytics from the last few weeks, the Browns got a shot. I'll definitely say this. The Browns got a shot. I can't expect 10 sacks every game, but I imagine that pressure is going to get to Purdy. I think that defense is special. It's special, and it's hard to realize how special it is because Dillon Gabriel was that bad. He was that bad. That's a special defense. And the run game's got a chance. They're middle of the road when it comes to allowing fantasy points, yards, and everything to running backs. They're like top 10-ish when it comes to allowing production. I'm looking at fancy stats here. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, middle of the road there. Like top 10-ish, I mean. There's potential here. There is potential here. Like, the rookie part of him's going to hang out. That's going to happen, especially in this context of limited practice time, not getting the fair shake of the offseason. The offseason he should have had, honestly. The offseason he should have had. Like, that's not an excuse, but it's truth. It's truth. There's no excuses. It's just truth. Like, we watched this, we monitored it, and now the beat writers are going up to Shedeur asking him, like, hey, do you think Stefanski's trying to sabotage you? We talked about that yesterday. You may not like those questions, but you got to have those questions to get what we're also getting of the beat writers pinning Stefanski down, asking him if he's holding his players accountable, all the other tougher questions that we eventually got. I felt like they were too slow to the punch. I felt like that, but I felt like some of the stuff we were raising up, some of it got bubbled up to ESPN Cleveland and other outlets, and then you saw heat get poured on. You're not seeing that with other teams. You're not getting all these clips with other teams in the summer. You're not. From rookie camp, minicamp, OTAs, you're not. So if they make changes, you're going to miss that. They're not allowing beat writers to ask these questions, and you're going to get those weird ones. But for those weird ones, you also get all this. And if it wasn't for all this, you wouldn't have got to see him behind the scenes, and you've been wondering even harder. And they probably would have had more, and maybe Shedeur might not be starting. Maybe. Because they could have just hid whatever they were thinking, whatever they were doing. They can't hide. They can't hide. Now there's conspiracy theories with the Vikings that they were hiding what J.J. McCarthy was actually is. And there's all that wrapped up. And I'm peeling that back. Like, they were just hiding how bad he is. Like, there was, I forget who brought that up, Rossini or whoever it was. I don't know that beat writer. I don't know if that's trustable. But when you look at the play, you put dots together, you're like, huh. And big media will just gaslight you. They'll say, you never played in the league, you never been at practice, you never did this, you never did that. Hey, we're in the news. We've been doing this for years. And then you just start peeling it back more. Like, Stefanski's agents, they're in locks with Dillon Gabriel's former coaches. They're in locks with some of the other beat writers and reporters like Dan Orlovsky. And then Stefanski's dad is a big name. Stefanski is from those streets, so he's getting privilege. That's why you're not hearing anybody be hypercritical about him. That's why when They talk about Shedeur and the limited practice reps after the Ravens game. It wasn't Stefanski. It was directed at Shedeur. It was directed at the practice reps, but not towards the leadership. Not towards the leadership. So what you're getting here and what I'm seeing is we're seeing years where we didn't get accountability. We just got told Stefanski's a good coach. You better just sit on it, and that it is what it is. Which he's not a bad coach. It's just we're seeing that there's certain situations where he's not ready. Like, he's not ready for a quarterback situation like this. Developing quarterbacks, it doesn't look like it's in the cards. Planning, being strategic with your practices, establishing competition, putting guys up for success. Accountability is heavily in question here. You can definitely tell from how it's been said in the media. You can definitely tell by just change of energy when things happen. You can definitely just feel it. Like, if you ran teams, you felt it. You felt it. It doesn't have to be football. If you ran any sort of team, you've done it for years, you can just feel it. And you definitely feel that the heat brought on by the beat writers lately on Stefanski, and it has died off because everything is focused on Shedeur. But I think it still needs to be there. Like, I get it. You got that win against the Raiders. But if you're going to diss Shedeur because he beat the Raiders, that means you shouldn't take the heat off Stefanski if you're going to do that too. Because Stefanski needs a lot of heat put on him. This is very, very huge critical situation and timeline here for the Browns. They got to see what they got in Shedeur Sanders, because if not, they might be wasting a bunch of draft picks and they might be in this doom loop of quarterbacks. And if they don't figure out Shedeur or take their best foot forward with Shedeur, they might be wasting more draft capital, and they could have had a franchise quarterback on a 5th-round pick. And this is a situation you think it's cut and dry, but it's the Browns. It's the Browns. It's been our whole life like this. So you really got to look at it in that realm. And they need to take their best foot forward. They need to be smart. They need to use common sense. Common sense is not to go back to Dillon Gabriel. Someone's going to say in the comments, they said it one of the other videos, that they're not going to do it. It's just that nothing in this situation has been normal. Nothing has. And now the radio stations are starting to see that. And we said this like Monday. But my theory was that if they're thinking about going to that, there's going to be a riff. And that's going to be the end of Stefanski, whether it's like right then, right now, or later in the season. But that would be the end of Stefanski if he goes back to Dillon Gabriel. Even if Dillon Gabriel plays a little better, I think that would be the end of Stefanski. And they're going to bring in a different crew. And it's got to be a staff that wants and needs and can and has a track record and a history of developing quarterbacks. That's what they need. And somebody that works well and gels well with Shedeur. And that's it. They need to build around Shedeur. And I think they know that. And I think there's a rift there. And obviously, through everything we've seen, there is. And now, big media, people on social media, if they're not paying attention to all this, then they don't know, and they're just going to wipe it under the rug. But this franchise got some problems, and you look at the records throughout the years, you can't say that there's not. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.